Sometimes I think I read too much Roald Dahl growing up. To coarsen my sensibilities a little bit. I actually think I had a somewhat balanced reading life as a young person. I mean, loved Roald Dahl, fairy tales, John Christopher's tripod books. My teacher was in alien books. I liked a lot of stuff. There were many books I read again and again. I'll see some of them in this collection still. Here are the books from that chapter bookshelf in the hallway. This one I hold on to for sentimental reasons. It's got my now dead sister's handwriting in it. What did she say? For Michael, the next Roald Dahl with love from the info. Yeah, she was always saying stuff like that. She was so nice. I should have been like, actually, I'm going to do more like creative nonfiction. She gave me this one too, which is falling apart, but has this nice thing she wrote in it. To Mikey, the real champion of the world, but Danny is great too. Hope you enjoy this or enjoy rereading it if you already have. It's one of my favorites. I read it many times. I love you, champ. Love Line. She was so great. September 24th, 1987. My 8th birthday. Huh. Look at this. A message to children who have read this book. When you grow up and have children of your own, do please remember something important. A stodgy parent is no fun at all. What a child wants and deserves is a parent who is sparky. I will, Mikey. This is maybe too revealing looking at these old children's books of mine. I also read these to my kids. This is a great book. This is Roald Dahl's only book without magic. And it's just kind of amazing. And it's where the BFG came from. It's a chapter in this. It's about a boy and his dad who just want to poach pheasants. BFG. This was the one that began as a story in Danny the Champion of the World. Spielberg later turned it into a movie that I have trouble remembering. Interesting, weird one. Apparently, Dahl based a lot of the giant's confused speech on his wife, who was a stroke victim's speech. At one point, for the kids, I had every book by Roald Dahl in the collection. And during the purge, I decided to be not such a purist and got rid of some of the real filler stuff, like The Vicar of Nibbleswick and Magic Finger and stuff like that. Matilda. This one was exciting to me because I remember when I was a kid and I loved Roald Dahl and I had read all his other books. This came out, and seeing it at the library for the first time and just freaking out when I was in like 2nd or 3rd or 4th grade. New Roald Dahl, and I loved it like right away. Pretty good. I think the American movie with Danny DeVito directed is pretty good. It's kind of grown in status over the years. I thought the musical Netflix remake had some interesting ideas, but was very hard to watch, and I don't think we finished it. But this book about a telekinetic kid with powers who's super smart, with terrible parents and a horrible headmistress at her school. It's kind of a classic now. It's great. Twits. This one's interesting because they're just horrible characters that are horrible to each other nonstop. This awful old couple. At one point, they're going to eat some young boys. I saw there is a sequel, Blessed by His Estate, written by somebody else, and I heard that the Twits have a redemptive arc in it. I watched a YouTube video on someone who read it. But I don't know. I thought they died in this one too. They got the dreaded shrinks and shrank away. It all definitely had like a warped, fun vision that appealed to kids of my micro generation, the age of Garbage Pail Kids and things like that. Fantastic Mr. Fox. And I have this much cooler, but not perfect shape, old copy. How did I get white paint on it? Obviously missing a dust jacket, but still very pretty. Oh, book plate. Yeah. The Wes Anderson movie of this is so interesting because this really goes to about halfway in that movie, and then the movie just keeps going. That really bothered me when I first saw it as someone that had grown up with Roald Dahl, but I think that movie's great now, you know. And where that director refined his style, culminating, I think, in the Grand Budapest Hotel. But, yeah, this is a fun story. Mr. Fox, a somewhat Odysseus-like figure who, despite all his charm, is really causing everybody's problems around him. The Witches, it's a good one. Roald Dahl was, or Roald Dahl, as some pronounced it. He pronounced it that way in the opening of an anthology show of his stories that he once hosted briefly. But, you know, I grew up with audiobooks where it said Roald every single time, and he was alive then, so he was signing off on that pronunciation, evidently. Illustrated by Quentin Blake. Roald Dahl and Quentin Blake are really a pair. Once Dahl found Blake, he found an illustrator that matched his freak, really, and he illustrated everything from then on. And, you know, Blake even went back and illustrated some things retroactively. He does that in here. Dahl was not all killer, no filler. The guy had filler, but he was a super interesting person, and I am a fan overall. Of him as a children's author, you know, but also just, yeah, someone who weirded up my life and thinking a little bit. This cat lies like this all the time. Sweet pea. What are you thinking about? This was Roald Dahl's first book for children, James and the Giant Peach, which is a far-out story. It kind of has a Baum-like, Oz-like, fairy tale-like fantasticalness to it. You know, going on a mystical man with a bag full of wriggling green things gives it to a boy who spills it, and it gets into the roots of the old peach tree where he lives with his horrible aunts, Sucker and Sponge. And it makes this dead peach just start growing like crazy. This was adapted into a movie too. I think it was a Henry Selick movie who did Coraline, which is, I think, a visual masterpiece. And I think this one was pretty good too. I don't remember watching it all that much with my kids. Just like did watch it once in a while. This is a nice old edition. I think this, oh wow. I really have 3 Roald Dahl books from my sister Leanne, who took her own life in 2001. To Mikey, may you have many adventures like James, Lovely, and Christmas 1986. Okay. Wow. I was born in 1979. Roald Dahl's Revolting Rhymes. This is, he did, that's a book of rhymes and a book of fairy tales, and they're all morbid. Oh, I have 2 James and the Giant Peaches, and this is not in great shape, so I'm going to get rid of this one. Free box after a piece of tape to increase its longevity. It actually does feel good to get rid of books too, because you're purifying the collection, you know. You're making it its best self. George's Marvelous Medicine classic. I don't know for sure that this came out in the 80s, but it's so 80s or even 70s to just be like, what if you mixed up everything in your house and gave it to a living person? Different wavelength of safety, but a lot of fun. This is a bedtime classic too when I was a parent reading to my kids. When I was growing up, I also had audiobooks of all of Roald Dahl's major novels for young people, and I listened to them constantly. Cassette. I knew those so well. I felt like I had passages of the books memorized. He may have had an inordinate influence because of that too. But this is fun. And then his grandma takes it and all kinds of crazy stuff happens to her, like she grows giant. Magic Finger. This is definitely a minor work. It's kind of interesting. Oh, this is another syrup disaster survivor. Keep both of these Fantastic Mr. Foxes because my daughter loves the movie at least. Willow, and because one is illustrated by Quentin Blake and one is not. Illustrations by Donald Chaffin. So yeah, this would have been pre-Blake, but that's a beautiful book with great illustrations. Blake's cool too, but he's wild. He's like the Ralph Steadman of children's lit. But I am going to pass that other James and the Giant Peach on. That one's interesting. It's got illustrations by Lane Smith, the children's book author. Let's see. Kind of an old Golden Book style. It's interesting. He's modern. He did the Stinky Cheese Man. No, I'm going to send that one on. That's the same situation. I've got the original Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator and one with illustrations by Quentin Blake. Guess I'll keep it. Well. This is the sequel to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Why has this never been adapted? It's got all kinds of interesting, weird stuff in it. It's got space aliens. That's why. Vermicious Canids. It's got the great glass elevator journeying through space. It's got the ancient grandparents taking Wonka medicine to make them young again, and they get too young and become babies for a while. President, a very Reagan-esque parody, as a character in it. This book here, not just this book, but this copy of this book was one of the very first chapter books I ever read. I remember walking to school with my friend Jason Weeks when I was like in kindergarten, and I was telling him I had read this, and he's like, "You mean you saw the movie?" I'm like, "I didn't know there was a movie." I'm like, "No, I read it. It's got ice cream that never melts, and it's really cool." These are old copies. This one might have the famous racist drawings of Oompa Loompas in it here. It needs to be taped up in a big way, but this is the copy I grew up with. I probably drew on it when I was a kid. Oh, that's kind of cool. I just realized that's a bitten on chocolate bar. Huh. Well, yeah. Of course, this has been adapted into 2 movies. 3 now. With a prequel. 4 if you count Tom and Jerry Meet Willy Wonka. I heard that exists. It's like a beat-for-beat remake of the Gene Wilder movie, too. That's funny. I guess I'll keep these for now. These are Roald Dahl's excellent memoirs for younger readers. He's got a third, too. It's called, like, Being Lucky or something like that. What's that called? But, third one is, it's just like a different alternate memoir that I think he wrote at a different time, maybe before these. There's a short version that's sometimes collected in one of his books. But this is his memoir of youth, where he just basically says, I'm just going to remember all the exciting and interesting parts. And that's a great way to tell a story for younger readers. All my kids loved this book and this book as much as any of his fiction books. Huge fans of his memoirs. These should be adapted. He gets slandered as anti-Semitic, but I think he had a lot of nuanced things he was actually saying sometimes that got misinterpreted and misunderstood. He does not strike me as a particularly hateful person, though he did have a really weird chapter where he was like a spy in D.C. in World War II, like a Casanova-type spy. I had a book about that for a while. I don't know if it survived the Purge. There's so much memorable stuff in this, and when you know and appreciate his later books, you can kind of see the origins of them, like this candy store that they obsessed over. And there's some really horrifying stuff. Him getting his nose ripped off in a car accident. I mean, and this is his World War II one, when he was a fighter pilot, and he spent a lot of time in a hospital, like in full bandages. And super interesting. They're both great. I think he must have left a lot out of his World War II experience. Again, these are for like readers of all ages. But I always thought these are just excellent books. They're really good memoirs, and that they appeal to younger readers as well, that ain't bad. If you're a fan of Roald Dahl, I definitely recommend tracking down his memoirs sometime. I think these are good for whatever age. Pulled these out of the picture book shelf in the closet. There should be a third, the enormous alligator, but I didn't see it. I just found the giraffe and the Pelly Me and the Min Pins. He had these sorts of books here and there, where, you know, they're a bit sing-song and shorter and still a bit prosy, but, you know, larger sized picture books, basically. Different sort of thing. But this one's fun. My kids always like this one a lot. I liked it too, growing up. The Min Pins, this one's all right. My kids would ask for this a lot. But ultimately, the Guardian of the Forest is like Humbaba, the Guardian of the Forest in Gilgamesh. And they should leave him alone. It's kind of interesting. It's about tiny little people that live in the forest. It's all right. They killed this beast that I think was about ecological stability. It's just really wild that that's like your go-to de facto comfort position. Anyway, but before Roald Dahl wrote anything for young people, he wrote short stories for adults. I brought these in from the green bookcase of large-size fiction from my room. And he made a living, I think, just selling his stories to magazines. And he was kind of like a morbid O. Henry. He always had some twist. Or, to borrow from the present, like M. Night Shyamalan. And he was kind of known for the wild twist. Like Skin, the twist of Skin is crazy. Somebody has a tattoo on their back by a famous artist, and unscrupulous people want to get it. And oh my gosh. Many of these have kind of found fame being adapted, at least into TV show, anthology show episodes, like an Alfred Hitchcock Presents, a famous one about the people cutting off fingers with the flick of a lighter. That was one of his. Oh yeah, that diamond. What would you... When my daughter Willow was little, she loved to fall asleep listening to Roald Dahl short stories for adults. Like, that was like the only thing that she found entertaining. And she knew all these stories. It was really wild. Never know what a kid will like. I read these when I was young too, because I remember they would just get thrown in the library with all his other stuff. So I'd be like, I sure enjoyed James and the Giant Peach. What else does he have? And then he's got these like psychosexual dramas. Sometimes they're pretty far out there. They're crazy. And kind of Roald Dahl is quintessentially nasty and wicked, the Washington Post. Wow. But I've read these too. Yeah, the guy was a big influence. It's kind of weird when you look at your life and you're like, what actually has influenced me? Like, just how much did Archie comics influence me? And what does that mean? Is it all bad? They're going away. Sleep with the kittens, as they say. To the green case. Little taping. Okay. Kind of messing with that. Yeah, that's one problem with shelf maxing, is it's kind of difficult to put things just back in the shelf sometimes. Roald Dahl, what do y'all think of him? He's definitely had a cultural impact, huge legacy. Heard his kids want to build a cinematic universe of his characters. Interesting. Sure, why not? But I would say I wouldn't let Roald Dahl be the only thing my kids read. You gotta have some balance there. Even in his own work, he has a good measure of irreverence and sincerity, and that's true. Definitely a unique figure. Roald Dahl, everybody. Roald Dahl. The Witches. That's a great movie adaptation of that one with Angelica Houston. Again, did not like the Netflix version much. It was okay. The effects have been better. When Witches came out, the original one, the old one, my family just happened to be leaving their 3-year church mission in Vienna, Austria, and we toured all over Europe, and we were in London when the premiere opening night of this happened, and we went to it, of the movie version. I still think that's a great classic. I don't mind the ending that Dahl hated. He famously hated many of his adaptations. I know there's a movie of Danny the Champion of the World with Jeremy Irons as the dad. It was like a BBC movie, and I could never find it back when my interest was high to find that and see it. But yeah, that'd be a great book to make into a movie. Seems like that would win all the awards if we did it right. Looks like, oh, this is all series on this shelf. Look at a stack of 3 or 4 series, or 5. You know, I hope viewers of this channel that are of, you know, a more adult literary bent, like most adults probably should be. Hope you won't like turn up your noses when we talk about kids' books and so on, because, you know, it's all part of it. You know, it's all connected. This is a YouTube channel about the world of books as represented by one person's book collection, which does at times feel to me like a pretty extensive collection, despite it being a third of what I used to have. As I go through this and describe it all, and now 320 some videos, I'm like, it's a lot of books. But we're still looking at, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 more shelves here of chapter books for younger readers. Maybe I'll continue to punctuate this case with other things, but one long shelf of picture books. You know, my kids have all been really adamant about me hanging on to this stuff, so I'm like, okay for you. And maybe it does make the collection more complete and so on, you know. I feel like I keep touching upon a lot of like personal tales and stuff in this. You know, oh yeah. Could either talk about being a parent myself or being a kid. Some of these series will definitely make me want to talk about them at length. Others not as much. All right. Well, y'all take care. Have a good day, night, evening, week, other unit of time. Those of you that are in Baby Squirrel's cult, be sure to say your prayers for the day. Those of you that are in Rival Sweet Pea's cult, say them as well, but I want to say them to both kitties just in case. Also to Prisma. 3 churches in one. All worshiping the sacred kitties. Alright, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being cool. Caring about books and stuff. I'm going to try to read more. Got to do a lot of things, but reading more is definitely one of them. I'm like, it feels good to have read the Canterbury Tales. That's like great. I've got that in my life now, you know? And it felt good to just open up a Philip K. Dick book and read that. Why not? I've got more important life things I gotta take care of. Kids, I'll be reading. I swear you used to be human, cat. Your sprawls are like, that's amazing. Well, who knows what's up with reality, but something is. Feel free to hire me for anything. Writing, editing, co-writing. Got a PayPal if you want to support the channel in any way. At Michael Farrell Smith. Remember, channel support goes directly to these kitties. Not even kidding. They do make napping look very enjoyable. You fall asleep doing a sit-up or something? Alright, take care.